Hello, 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 and welcome to the Drag Race RuCap here on Reality TV RHAPups. I'm your host, Liana Boraas, and we are back, baby. We are here to preview the cast of season 16 of RuPaul's Drag Race. It's so weird to think that the last time we were all together, we were talking about an all winners, all star season, but we're back. We have 14 fresh new faces that we are going to walk through. We're going to be doing a draft. We're going to give sort of our initial thoughts of what we've seen from the queens so far, any background we might have on them, and then get us ready for the first episode, which is going to be on January 5th. So hopefully you're listening to this before, if not after, maybe way after, and you can hear our thoughts. We were totally wrong about so many of these queens, and that's sort of the beauty of doing the predictions. You never know what you're going to get, and we have 14 new people to meet. But first, let me bring back two familiar faces. You know and love them, of course. First is Aman Adwin. Aman, how are you?
Hey, I'm great. Happy New Year, everybody. Happy new Drag Race season. Really excited. I'm it's the same thing every year. There's lots of Drag Race content out there, so you're never starving these days. But if you control your diet, and you edit which foods you want to intake, you can still sort of like have a little bit of excitement for the next meal. So I'm a little starved. I'm ready. I'm ready to get chomping into season 16. The queens seem very interesting, and they seem like a lot of them. I mean, we know that all queens say this, but I feel like in particular this season, I feel like a lot of the preview content is like, yeah, we worked hard to give y'all a good show. This is going to be a good season. Like, this is going to be something. So I'm ready to see if, they're going to put their money where their mouth is.
Yes. And also with us is Beth Dixon. Beth, how are you?
I'm doing great. Happy New Year as well. I agree with Mon. This group seems like they said, okay, season 15, they came and they gave us some old school drama feel where they were like, hey, let's pretend the internet doesn't exist and like act like drag queens on television. And that was amazing. So I'm getting the sense that they thought the same thing for the season. And I'm here for it because if there's anything I care about, it's moments. I want moments. Give me drag moments here in 2024. We're about to have probably a very intense year in 2024. So I just want to relax and watch drag queens be drag queens. So let's get into it. I'm excited.
Yes. All right. So in terms of the preview content, they released, of course, the Meet the Queens video where we actually got to see the entrance looks along with their sort of entrance lines. And then we also got to have sort of the sit down interview. So that's mostly what I think we'll be going off of. And then if anybody has any other knowledge outside of that, of course, they're welcome to bring that to the table. So the way that we're going to do this is in the format of a draft. Randy Newpel, you know where you're at. Please keep score. Thank you. Officially crowned scorekeeper of the draft because we're too lazy to do it ourselves. Now, Beth, we think won last year. We don't actually remember. We think she had Sasha Colby. So, I mean, at least she had the winner on her team. And I think that that'll be good enough. So Beth has chosen the draft order. We're going to be doing a snake draft. I will be drafting first, then Beth, then Aman. Then because it's a snake draft, Aman will draft again. So he'll have
That is not what I said.
Is that not what you said?
I said, let's do me, you.
Oh!
I said we did it in the order. I'll go first.
At me. Okay, whatever. Look, I'm claiming first draft.
Not as having to stop the count this early in the year.
Stop the count.
Okay. We don't need our own election nonsense. All right.
Jesus.
So, okay. Reset. But Aman will still get to pick twice.
Yeah, Aman was corrected that.
Yeah, just great. Okay, so just 66% wrong. So Beth will draft first, then me, then Aman, and then we will snake back until we finish going through the cast. That we're gonna have two people left over, and those will be for the audience. So you're welcome. And we'll still talk about them, of course, in preview and give our thoughts on those two undrafted players.
Absolutely.
Okay, Beth, without further ado, let's kick things off. Who are you picking with your first pick in the draft?
This only matters if this was going to be the person you would have drafted first. So
if it is, I'm going to be really upset. Okay.
It really will be a stop the count moment.
It really will.
I am actually nervous that this is the person that you would have chosen, but I have to go for the House of Wind, Augusta Wind. So I'm going with Nymphia Wind.
Okay.
Damn it.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So she was in my top 2. I had a very clear
Okay.
top 2 in my
Mhm.
opinion, and she was one of those people in my top 2. So well, Beth, why? Why
Yeah.
is Nymphia going to be your top pick?
Nymphia, to me, out of all of the queens, just had that special amount of like a perfect blend of confidence and sense of who they are as a drag artist, the culture that they bring, the a little bit well, obviously the look, the detail, the precision, the everything with the look, the fashion. But then on top of that, we got these beautiful moments of her just being like really kind of kooky.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's exactly the kind of thing that RuPaul loves, is somebody who can look immaculate but also act a fool. And that to me makes a winner. So I also love that we have someone who's in Brooklyn. Hey, what's up? Nymphia Wind, House of Wind. What's going on? But I mean, for me, she had like one of the best looks. I'm not sure if it 1,000% to me went with the theme of like this kind of like revolution, which by the way, that was something that they kind of tried to change a little bit, given the conflict that we're seeing in Israel Palestine. So I know that they were trying to be sensitive to that, but when we're looking at the looks and everything, it was supposed to be this kind of like RuPaul's Army, essentially, kind of feel for it.
Essentially, yeah.
So I
Join
like
the reserves. The
yeah,
reserves.
exactly. Ugh, the roosters. Oh no. But she definitely gives like this idea that like she's the bootstrap, and I kind of love that. Like that is what her look kind of brings. But I don't know. I just think that she has such a unique, cool outlook, and I'm really excited to see what she brings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Aman,
I agree.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on her?
I was definitely gonna try to get her first. She was one of the ones where she walks into the workroom and your eyes do sort of light up. Not that the other queens weren't great, but sometimes there's like a little smattering of queens every season where they walk in and you're like, oh, it's a little interesting. She had like this whole yellow banana thing going on. It was silly, but it was still beautiful, nicely executed, and she seems to be very tongue in cheek, have some sort of self awareness of who she is. Not afraid of sharing her heritage and acknowledging, like, in Taiwan, there's really not a lot going on. So I did have to sort of like, climb my way over here. So I'm excited to see what she brings. I think that she seems like she's going to be funny. She seems like she's got like a little bit of snark that might piss off the other girls, but she seems like she also doesn't care if it pisses off the other girls. So I'm here for it. I feel like she's definitely giving me someone who's going to be around for the long haul. I've since talked about it on this podcast in the past that I have like a small theory that like if you look at the fan interaction with a lot of the cast announcement, typically the ones that have a little bit more engagement online are usually the ones that seem to be making it a little further, because I have a feeling that stuff gets, we know how Drag Race can get spoiled because the gays are messy and they can't keep their mouths shut. So sometimes I'm wondering if you get a lot of praise because people know where you're going. That being said, I didn't look at any of that. I've said, especially after having Sasha Colby, sort of be like the eventual winner of season 15, I was like, you know what, this year, I'm not engaging in any of the social media. I'm not looking at anybody's Instagram post or Twitter post. I'm not looking at nothing because I want to go into this blind. And even through doing all of that, she still felt like she was someone that was going to be a front runner for sure. So I'm excited for Nymphia Wind for sure.
I think what stands out to me about her is, as you mentioned, Aman, the self-awareness, because my first thought of her was like, man, she's a little weirdo, and then goes on to describe herself as kind of strange, kind of weird. The gag that she does in the intro for the walk-in with the banana thing, like that immediately stands out. It's like, oh, this is like a Willow Pill, an Evie Oddly sort of attitude. And I feel like that's stuff that Ru has really latched onto, very much loves and enjoys. So I'm thinking that will help. And then Beth, your comment about her visuals are so stunning, and she talks about that she's a painter. She has this high concept vision for drag, and I think that definitely comes through in what we've seen from her so far. So I have very high hopes for her. I think she'll do well, and I agree with the both of you. So she was one of my top 2 picks. There were 2 people from the workroom entrances that just immediately popped to the front of my list. And it was because of their self-confidence. She was one of them. And the other one is going to be my first pick, second pick overall, Beth. And she was actually the top of my draft board. So
Okay.
I would have picked Nympha second. So I'm happy with the way ultimately that this worked out. Sorry, Iman. So I will pick Sapphira.
Oh, Sapphira.
Damn
Sapphira.
it. Oh my
Sorry, Aman. I know, Philly Queen.
I was just going to sit there and I was going to be like, I thought Sapphira would be Aman's top choice, so for sure.
So she was my top choice. Absolutely. Bullet with a T. I was obsessed with her from the moment that she walked in. First of all, her confidence is, oh wait, let me actually, hold up. Let me pull her up. I got her somewhere. We got her little, if you're watching the YouTube version, we have visuals to go along with our talking through things. It's just a little.
Also, shout out. I know that we've been doing this for years, but like just shout out to Liana for every week putting together visuals and all this stuff. This
look at my little triangle thing in the corner. I thought I was so cool. I was like, oh my God.
I put a face.
Graphic design is my passion.
Design is
look at me go. Okay, so Sapphira Crist&aacute, age 34, from Philadelphia, and God damn it, just like everything about her, I just felt so good about. She can sing, she can act, she can dance. I mean, this is, she's funny, self-reported, but I believe her. She's the winner of 16 crowns. This is her 11th time auditioning. This is someone who is so passionate about being in the show, who cares, who wants to be here, who's going to fight. And she also seems to have such a good sense of self. I'm very interested to hear her sobriety journey. She mentions that very briefly in the We're Talking Heads package. I am obsessed.
Yeah, and this is the one, she's the one that has 2 kids, correct?
No, that is Hershii.
Okay, never mind then. I can't wait to talk about that. But yes, Sapphira was definitely one of the ones that I was interested in because she is from Philly. I have personally never seen her perform, but I know, like, for Philly, like the drag scene, it's here, but because we're so close to New York, a lot of our queens will frequently sort of like hop back and forth or go over to Jersey. And so like that little tri-state area, like I feel like, New York kind of slurps up a lot of our queens. So I personally have never seen her, but the way that she described the Philadelphia drag scene, I'm like, okay, yeah, she's from here because she knows exactly, the layout of the land. Like, because when I do go and look at all of these queens that we have here, it is very much right now. I feel like we're in the age of like the teeny boppers. That's what you talked about off the top. I feel like Philadelphia is really in the age of teeny bopper queens. There's so many young queens right now that all have like their, their quirky Gen Z point of views, and everyone's like very political here, especially in light of all the stuff that's been going on in the world. Like, I mean, right now we have like a controversy. I honestly don't even know where I'm supposed to go to watch Drag Race this season because one of the places that we go to see that I usually go every season is, being boycotted right now because of the owner's response to a drag queen performing in support of the Palestinian people that are, going through what they're going through right now. So it's definitely hitting close to home now, having someone that is actually from this environment and being on the show. So I'm really excited for her. She does seem like she's, she's a little bit older. I mean, not old by any means, but in terms of like the drag, you know how we are over here. But
I mean, there's like a ton of 26-year-olds. So in a season of 26-year-olds at 34, yes.
Mm-hmm.
That is
this is the first time I'm looking at the ages and realizing I'm old. Like I'm 35. No. I'm 35 years old, and I'm looking at everybody and going like, "Oh yeah, 26. I was only like a couple years ago." And I'm like, "That was 9 years ago." So no, I really think that she was the other queen besides Nymphia that I really felt like had this like really true sense of self that had a mixture of confidence and knowing, like the self-awareness thing. I think that, we spoke a lot last season about self-awareness, this idea of like not fully understanding how you're coming across and that being a barrier for some queens. This is not going to be a barrier for Sapphira. And obviously with 16 crowns already crowned, she knows what she's doing and what she puts out there. So I'm really excited to see her. I love this promo look. This promo look,
Yeah.
she said, "I'm not in the reserves. I'm an officer, baby." So I just love everything about it. I love the height of the hair. She is drag, and I'm here for it.
All right, Aman, it's your turn for your first pick. Who are you gonna go with?
Oh my god, my first 2 picks were taken.
Here, take my second pick and take Liana's second pick. You get revenge now.
I think I might throw my hat in the ring for Amanda Tori meeting.
Okay.
She was the first one off the bat, so maybe like there's like a little bit of like, that's like the first one you see. You always remember the first one in the video and the last one in the video, so maybe there's like a little bit of that bias going on. But I appreciated her energy in her interview. She seemed, similarly to Nymphia Wind, very tongue-in-cheek, knows who she is, knows that she wants to be funny, knows that she's on Drag Race, ready to have a good time. I like the promo look as well. It's giving like a little bit of like Lady Gaga, Ariana Grande, Rain on Me music video, and I'm here for that. So I think that she's gonna do well. I love the fact that she said that when growing up she's always had a lot of energy, and so her mom immediately put her into theater, and that's where she stayed for the rest of all time. So I love to go up for the theater girls because I am a theater girl. So I'm hoping that she is I have a little worry that she might be a little grating, but it's in terms of like entertainment
theater
value.
kid, come on.
In terms of entertainment value, I'm here for it. So annoy the hell out of these bitches. Make every day have a mandatory meeting, okay?
Yeah, I do really love her name. Like, and some people, it's silly, stupid, whatever, like obvious, but I don't know. It makes me laugh every time I say it. I don't know why.
I'm not gonna lie, I just got it.
Oh, it's a mandatory meeting. Thank you, Beth.
Wow. Okay. This is like payback for all the times when people go, "I just got that your name is Augusta Wind." Yeah. So if anything, I reciprocate back into the universe.
Well, I think the thing about Amanda for me is she's so much energy, like so much energy. And I think that can be simultaneously a good and a bad thing, because I think knowing when to tone it down and like pull back a little bit can be advantageous. But when it comes to like forcing your way through the competition, I think she is going to do her darndest. She's extremely competitive, has that energy. And there was a comment on the YouTube video, and I as soon as I read it, I was like, yes, it was giving, and I don't know if it's the green, but Laganja from season 6 was like some of the energy that I thought, and maybe it's just the way that she said a few things. It sort of sounded like Laganja a little bit, but that was sort of more the energy that I was sort of getting from her. I absolutely love her promo look. I think it's stunning. I think it looks very cool. So that I'm probably the most happy with of what I've seen so far from her.
Yeah, I think that energy is obviously something that's really interesting with Drag Race, because you would think that being the loudest person or the person with the most energy in the room would get you so far in this competition. But we've seen people like Sasha Velour who have been able to go super, super far with having that maybe toned down energy, but knows when to turn it on kind of thing, right? And then we've had queens like Sugar and Spice, Laganja, like people who have all this energy, but maybe don't know how to harness it. My concern is does she know how to harness it or not? So if she can harness it in a way that is beneficial for her, not just have gifts and confessionals that are popping, but doing something in the competition, really acting incredibly well for those challenges and such, I think that she's really going to kill it. So I'm with you, Aman, as a former theater person. It is not shocking to anybody. I think that, Aman and Beth are former theater kids. Were you a theater kid, Liana?
No.
I was just that doesn't shock me, but there's something a little bit more, not like reserved, but just like not as like, hey, look at me, like that. I have that, so I understand Amanda's mandatory meeting. I can't believe I didn't get that.
Beth's learning today.
It's a new year, new me.
Good for you. Aman, who is going to be your second pick? You're going back to back here.
Yes. I think I'm going to go ahead and choose Hershii LiqCour-Jet&eacute.
Okay, I thought this might be one of your picks.
Yeah, same.
Yes.
Walk us through your love of Hershii.
Well, first of all, I love the name. It's very fun to say, Hershii LiqCour-Jet&eacute. And obviously she is in relation to oh my god, why am I
Cornbread.
blanking? Thank you, Cornbread. I could not think of her name. And so we all know how Cornbread's story was unfortunately cut short on her season. So anytime that we can sort of like get a piece of Cornbread, I'm going to love that. But aside from all of that, I just thought that she was just very, very interesting. She says that she's lived more lives than a bunch of these other girls have, and there's reason to believe that. I do love that she mentioned Bibi Zahara Benet, and she's been watching the show since season 1, and she made the comment that she was like, wow, I didn't realize that we could be that beautiful. And I'm assuming that she means as a dark skinned Black person. And so that to me is always like just very reassuring that this show continues to inspire people to see themselves differently than what maybe the rest of the world would have seen them. So that's just that I'm like emotionally I'm like all the way there for it. So yeah, I think that she's coming into this with like a lot of focus, a lot of like drive, and I'm just excited to see what she brings. So
I love Hershii. I think Hershii, anytime you're going to have somebody who's from that cornbread family, and also shout out to my friend Espy Simone, who's also Hershii's drag sister. She has said, and is cornbread's drag sister as well, like Espy has been very, very vocal and that Hershii has wanted this for a long time, that this is something that, the two of them would dream about. And it's really exciting to see Hershii have this opportunity. I think that you come from that house, you've got talent. you've got a fun personality. You are drag, everything. I love her outfit in this promo. I love a cape that is lined on the inside, and so often people don't do that. So I love that she has like this bright green, and it's so interesting to me. I wonder, like, they must have said, hey, when you're putting together this theme, also green is one of the colors, because everybody went green. So I'm assuming that's the case. But I thought the way that she put this together shows off her drag aesthetic very well, while also fitting the theme. And I think that promos for me, even though I know that sometimes they don't have complete control over their looks for promos, I think it's a good place for people to understand the assignment in front of them and how they approach it to put their own drag persona in it, because that's what you're going to be doing every single week with the competition. So I'm excited for Hershii. I can't wait to see what she does.
I mean, and like having 2 kids is like, I mean, I feel like I can only speak for myself and my little pocket of the gay community, but like having kids as a gay person is already like a bit of a hurdle, because you have to jump through a couple of hoops, and whether it be surrogacy, whether it be adoption, whatever it is. But to like have 2 kids, young kids, and be a drag queen, like that takes a lot of like energy and time and devotion and just like willpower and drive to want to do this. So and it's not, we don't really see that on Drag Race a lot of the time. On like shows like Survivor, Big Brother, you always hear, we all have a bunch of parents on those types of shows. But for Drag Race, there's not really a lot. Like I can only really think of like Tyra Sanchez. I'm sure there's a couple more, but I can't think of them right now. So
Tempest du jour.
Yeah. So every time I see parents on the show, I'm like, yeah, you made the time for this, honey. Like, so I'm excited to see her.
She was the one she was in my top 4. She stood out to me in the interview portion in particular. And I think it was her talking about like, I'm happy to be where I'm at. Like, I'm in the moment. This is my passion. This is what I've dedicated my life to. This is what I love. And I'm here to do my job. And I feel that just sort of mature attitude, the regular working girl, I think, as she said, I think that was very comforting to see. And maybe this is also something that goes with like, as I get older, like looking for someone who is sort of stable and like created this life and is still able to really follow something that they're so passionate about. I just loved that attitude and mentality from her. I'm really rooting for her, and I hope that she does well.
She has the most beautiful eyes. I'm just putting it out there.
Pretty.
Yes, completely agree. Okay, I'm up next. So I'm just so intrigued by this person's aesthetic. So that is sort of the main reason why I'm picking them. I felt like they also stood out to me in the interview portion. So I'm going with Dawn.
I knew. I was shocked that Dawn wasn't your first choice. I was thinking to myself, I was like, if she doesn't go for Nymphia, she's going to go for Dawn. And so,
Yeah.
yes.
She would have been my third. She was my third overall if I'm ranking them individually.
She would have been my second choice, by the way. So
she's young, which can be a bit of a deterrent, but we've seen queens, I mean, do super well. Aquaria, Gottmik. I don't think that that's necessarily a hindrance. There was just something about, like, first of all, her looks and everything that she did to her presentation, I thought was absolutely stunning overall. Both the entrance look as well as her promo look here, they're just weird and quirky and cool and imaginative and creative. And I absolutely love that. She describes herself as the elf goddess of Brooklyn. I think that that's very adorable. And she's just also a little weirdo. Like, she starts the day with a pickle.
I love her.
Okay.
Why not?
Why not? I love
Come on,
that.
Snooki. Come
That's
on
so
through.
Great. And, she has talked about, I'm more than just looks. She says she can perform. And I think for me, it was more like the humor that came across in the talking head video that stood out to me. So that's why I'm going with Dawn. Aman, what do you think about my pick?
I think it's an interesting pick. I mean, she definitely sort of gives me like a little bit of like Willow Pill upside. It's interesting seeing a lot of the younger queens come on now because, with her specifically, she talked about, sort of like really coming up in the middle of the pandemic and how, that was kind of all that she could find herself doing because we couldn't do anything else. It was all shut down. So we all had to try to sort of like find our passion project, and she found her passion in drag during the pandemic. So like what kind of drag queen does that create when you are forced to hone your techniques and your craft when there's nothing else to do? So I'm excited to see where she goes. She feels like she's going to be a very, very cerebral. I don't know if I'm going to understand everything that she brings to the table, but that's okay. That's like make me think about drag in a different way, So I think she's a curator of sorts. So I'm excited to see what she brings. I think it's a good pick.
What I love about Dawn is everything. She's the only person that I've seen on social media, really. And it's purely because she's obsessed with America from BB25. And she's also obsessed with Survivor. So she is a reality TV fan. So she was like sitting there being like, America, please follow me. I love you. I'm obsessed with you. This whole thing. And then America followed her. She's like, my life is complete. And I'm like, I fucking love you. So like, I have been like, Dawn is one of the few people I've actually followed. I normally try not to follow queens before the season. I want to follow them once the season's on. But she instantly, I was like, BB25 and BB4 or Survivor 45, and you were like celebrating the win. She was like, I'm obsessed with like all the women of Survivor 45. I was like, this is a fan. This is a fan. So what I think that's really great about her is the fact that she's like very into reality competition shows then. So I think that that's going to be really interesting. Is she going to self-produce too much, or is that going to be something that's actually helping her out? So I think that she's going to be really interesting. She obviously has a very unique sense of character and drag. And she obviously paints immaculately. I can't help but when I see the word Dawn, I think fawn because of the way she kind of draws like a little, almost like a deer. I don't know. And I think that she is just very unique and true to herself. And I think that that's going to take her far. Great pick.
Okay, Beth, we're going back to you. It's time for your next pick. And remember, you have 2 back-to-back.
Okay. So I think my next person is going to be Plasma. This queen for me, what I like about her is like she gives me the sense that of like if Jinx Monsoon was a Jetson. Okay.
Yeah.
So she's somebody, what I love about her is this idea kind of similar to a certain extent of like what Mistress was like last year, right? Mistress was like, this is old school Southern pageant drag, but let's make it 2023. Plasma has this idea of like, what if the things we loved about old Hollywood were incorporated with a futuristic look, or were incorporated in modern 2024 aesthetics. And I think that's a really interesting perspective. You know, the queens that have had little tips of the hats, whether it's been through Snatch Game or through their aesthetic. If you think about Violet Chachki being able to throw things back during a design challenge, anybody who's been able to do that has been relatively successful on the show, and has been somebody that like is referencing things that RuPaul knows. So obviously that's a really big plus in RuPaul's book. So I think that being such a young person with such a good knowledge of old Hollywood is actually going to take her pretty far in the competition.
Is she the Jan?
No, actually, wait, there is somebody who I think is the Jan.
I feel like
The
this
Jan
is a very
edit.
like this, like she mentions her BFA. I feel like this is a lot of like musical theater groups, and I'm like, which one of you is Jan? Poor Jan.
Oh,
who
Jan.
of you is who of you is RuPaul just gonna hate for like seemingly no reason?
It is just gonna tease you, and it's not like overt hatred. It's just like is in like completely indifferent to.
Right, exactly. Like
for
your
no
successes don't move her. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like at this point, the more and more that this show goes on, it's like, you know, you have your little gays that go and do High School Musical theater, and then they go to performing arts school, and it's like, on one hand, it's like, what are you majoring in? And they're like, yo, well, you know, musical theater, performance, acting. But like the subtext of that is, it's like, oh, I'm majoring in RuPaul's Drag Race, because that's exactly where I'm headed as soon as I graduate. And she definitely falls within that category. So, you know, like, look, the old school being made into the new school is a common trope on Drag Race. Some queens are able to execute it in a way that is interesting and new and fun and fresh. Some are kind of more old school than they're letting on and trying too hard to be new school. So I don't know where Plasma will fall. I will say that I think that her look, like you said, Beth, is like a pretty good indication that she does have sort of like an understanding of like what her point of view is. So I think that she'll definitely be one that knows how to reference. She'll be one that has some sort of like hopefully not too overly sanitized performance factor. So I'm excited for her. I hope that she's loose and that she can go with the flow, and when things don't necessarily go her way,
loose.
I hope that she's able to let loose.
Baby, let go.
Wait, did y'all see? Lucy's tweet for the new year? It just popped up for me, and it was so good. Hold on, I'm gonna find it. It literally was, shorts should be short, coffee should be hot, loose should be let, and that was it. And I said, you're right. I'm going to go into 2024 with short shorts, hot coffee, except for here I am with my iced. And
you better loose that let.
And loosed let. What? No. Let loosed? No.
Loose. Let should be loose.
Good job, Beth.
Yeah. Look, it's my affirmation for 2024.
For sure.
To go back to Plasma briefly, the way she describes herself as a 65-year-old in a 24-year-old's body. She talks about merging old school with new school. And if that's, I mean, I think that that's true. And I think that that's going to be something to watch. I love that of being able to take elements and merge them into something new and innovate them in some way. So I think I'm really excited for her. Her name I love her name, Plasma, but it does not match the aesthetic that she has at all.
I kind of like the simplicity of the name. She was like, look, I just like the name. I just like how it sounded. And I used to live next to a plasma donation center. So
that to me is my favorite part. It'd be like someone being like, type A. That's my name.
I'm type A. But Plasma gives me like, oh, like this is so futuristic and all that. So maybe that is the like Jetsons of it all, bringing back the new school with the old school. So we'll see. Plasma 24, New York City. Okay, Beth, let's go to your next pick.
I realize I have two New York City people. I should probably shift out of my own neighborhood here. I have two queens that I love that happen to be from the same place. and I'm not. I have two queens in front of me, and I'm.
Oh no.
I am gonna have to go with who I assume is going to be the lip sync assassin if they have to go in the bottom of the season, which is Mhi'ya.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you all have seen videos of Mhi'ya. I have for a few years now seen her pop up every once in a while. Oh my God. She can lip sync and dance and stunt. Like, she's incredible. And so I am so excited. I hope that that's not all she's known for on the show, because obviously that's not necessarily a good thing. We say that, although Anitra and Sasha, that was pretty much what they were known for last season. I think she is going to be fun. She's going to be somebody who I think I don't know where her strengths are. I think she said that she'd be nervous for like construction challenges and such. So that makes me nervous too with her. Obviously, anytime I hear a construction challenge, someone's nervous about that. Ugh. But we have seen people over the past couple of years overcome that. So let's hope that she continues that. I love that we're seeing that she's like best friends with Malaysia Baby Doll Fox, who was there from last season. More Miami representation, which we've really been lacking with until last year and this year. So that's really exciting. But I'm really excited to see what she has to bring. I think that she's going to be a really fun character. And most of all, I can't wait to see if and when she lip syncs what it's like.
Yeah, wow. I'm a little nervous for her because she came across as a little demure to me in the interview talking portion, but I've also seen her come across my TikTok and I know the kind of performer that she can be. So that was a little surprising to me. Sure. So I'm hoping there's just a little bit of the nerves and that she can kind of work through that, because I do think she's going to be an outstanding performer and someone to watch if she can sort of get past, the nervousness, or at least that was what I sensed, and be able to demonstrate other skill sets.
Yeah, she does sort of like make me a little afraid because of the energy in the interview, but she could end up like a Cameron Michaels, who was also very sort of like not really here to be all up in everybody's faces, but as soon as that lip sync was time, she got her ass down on that stage and did what needed to be done. But with that being said, if she's known for lip syncing, if we're speaking strictly like placement, right? It makes me wonder, like, okay, well, is she just gonna get put in the bottom a bunch of times because they just want good lip syncs for the show? So I'm like, damn, you know what I mean? And she kind of hinted already of like being like, oh, well, you might see me a couple times this season. I'm like, okay, so you're in the bottom. So like,
well, there's also the lip sync Lollapalooza thing that happens every year now, apparently. So let's hope that the times we see her lip sync, it's because it's a part of the competition.
That is true. And I will say that when she did talk about lip syncing, it wasn't in a way that was like, I'm going home. It was more so like y'all gonna see what I can do. So like either she was in the bottom and she won a bunch of times and she's still there, or it was the Lollapalooza. I don't know, but we'll see. I'm excited for her. I have like a little soft spot in my heart for Miami because I went there a couple of years ago for the first time. And I love that city. I thought I would hate it because I'm really not like a Florida kind of person, because Florida is, how Florida is, they say.
I feel like Miami is like its own thing in Florida. Yeah. Yes. It's not Florida.
A lot of people from Miami will say that. They're like, nah, we don't claim the rest of this state. So.
Yeah. You're like, where's South is almost speaking B. Okay, we're trying so hard to be our own thing.
Okay. Let's go on to my next pick. So this is someone who really grew on me as I was watching the interview, and that was sort of the main thing that I noticed about her. So I'm going with Geneva Karr, which sounds like I need a car, Beth.
Geneva Karr.
Just
I got that one.
Okay.
Which I feel like I feel like Geneva Karr I shouldn't have gotten, and I should have gotten a mandatory meeting.
Yeah, well,
but here we are.
Can't win them all. She was someone who her energy, just as she continued to speak throughout the interview, I just got such warm vibes from her. I feel like she was someone who I would want to hang out with. Is that the best strategy for Drag Race? I don't know. But I think having just a charming personality is something that's so critical, especially when selling yourself on the show. And she's someone who I was just sort of like immediately drawn to. She talks about being a pageant queen, although that is, dealing with the misconception that you are just a pageant queen is something that she says she, wants to sort of fight and deal with that. But yeah, for me, I don't even know what it is. It was just a general charm that I think she had that I appreciated.
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't know.
I love her promo look. I think she has such a really, exactly who she is as a drag queen by looking at this look. And I can't wait to see that kind of Texas, pageant drag come across with Geneva. I won't lie. I completely forgot about Geneva because yeah, because and it's like she gets in front of me and I go, "Oh my God, yes, great. That's who it was." But there is something about her being like a little bit like it took her some time to open up, similar to Mhi'ya as well. Like that happens, I think, sometimes when you're sitting there. And I think they do those interviews quite late after the season's done. So they already know how they've placed. So it's I think that there's like a little bit of like, how do I say this without giving away anything? Like so I understand to a certain extent, like having to settle all in. I'm interested. I really don't have a good read on her, to be perfectly honest, other than I love her aesthetic. And so I can't wait to see how she brings it to the competition.
I mean, she just seems really, really raw and honest and interesting to me. A lot of drag queens sort of like they get on the show and the show has been it's been on for quite some time. It becomes so self-referential, and a lot of these queens come on these shows like very on and performative, which is part of drag. But it's also nice to see someone that is just like, well, like I really, really enjoyed this, like enjoyed the show. I thought about doing it and I didn't even really know too much about drag, and I started doing drag and then it really became a self-expression for me, and that's just sort of like where I'm at with it now. And that it just seemed very matter of fact to me, and I liked that because it wasn't so much like, bitch, I'm going to be here to say, which I don't have a problem with that shit either. But it's always nice when someone is just like, look, I'm here to have a good time, and this should be fun. And I think I have a really good shot at, winning this whole thing. So I'm excited for her. I like the fact that she talks about how, she will frequently switch from Spanish to English without even knowing it. I'm like, so you're just in it. Like you're just living your life. And I love to see that kind of stuff. So I'm excited. I'm excited for her.
Aman, let's go back to you. You've got 2 picks.
Okay. I want to go for like a
okay, and also so you have 2. So these are your last 2 picks, Aman.
Oh no. Okay. Am I gonna do this? I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do it. I don't think she's gonna.
Wait,
I don't think she's gonna win.
do it?
But I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to choose Mirage. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I love that her entrance line got crickets.
That's amazing.
And I love that she laughed at it because they were like, and she was like, oh shit. I love that. I mean, she's from Vegas. And when we think about Vegas, you think of the Anitras, you think of the acrobatics, you think of like, the showgirls, the feathers, the boas, all this high glitz and glam. And she's like, no, I'm tacky. And I'm doing it on purpose. So I'm like, tacky in Vegas. I mean, I think Vegas can be kind of tacky.
Vegas is very tacky.
Extremely tacky.
Yeah. Vegas
like in a good way.
Tacky. So
it's like tacky with like sparkles.
Yeah, exactly. So, and even with her look, it's like it's giving a little bit of that. It's like the little thing on the arm with this weird disjointed type of, flare coming from the back. I'm like, and the fishnets that don't really cohese with the corset thing. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Her hair is interesting to me. It's like flayed to the right and then down, and it's kind of awkward and interesting. And she just talks a lot of shit. I really like that. And like, I don't think it's gonna land. I don't think that's the last time that we're gonna see people be like,
yeah,
no. And I think that she's gonna be she's not gonna stop.
I'm here for it.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Like, keep talking your shit, keep getting the crickets. And look, I'm the one that laughs at dumb stuff. Okay, so I'm here for it. And also, she's an Incredibles fan. That's where she got her name, Mirage. Rest in peace to the voice actress. She passed away a couple of years ago.
Oh.
So I'm the Disney king in me is like, okay, I think you get some points from me. So I'm excited. I think that she's gonna stir the pot a little bit. She's talking about bringing hot and sexy back. And I love in her interview, she like doubled down on one of the, like, she threw shade at Kimora, saying like, oh, well, if Kimora can get on the show, then, I knew I could. Just kidding. She's sickening. But you also know we didn't see her performance when she got on the show, and now we think why.
No, why.
So she doesn't care. She does not give a damn. So I'm here for it. I want to see it happen. I just want to see the spontaneous combustion that is Mirage, who seems to be living willingly in her own Mirage.
I love it.
Yeah, she was someone who, when she starts with like, oh, stay tuned for Untucked. I was like, oh no, like, here it comes. She like keeps throwing shade, is being just so entertaining though throughout the whole process. Like, she was someone who I was also very drawn to. She would have been my next pick, Aman, if you hadn't have taken her. I'm really going to be entertained by her, I'm sure. And I think that the starting drama thing, obviously we know, helps on the show. So maybe she'll stick around for a couple extra Untucks just to get some more drama.
Totally.
Maybe.
She gives me a little bit of like, what if I threw in some like accessories styles from like the 2000s for no reason? And I'm kind of here for that, because I'm like, that was my middle school. Like, I get this. I also love that she named herself Mirage after The Incredibles and not after the Mirage Hotel
in Vegas.
In Vegas. Yeah. That to me, I think is just so funny. She was like, I thought it was such a beautiful name. I'm like, you live in Vegas. You see the Mirage. It's like one of the most famous places. Anyway, no. So I'm with you. I think that she's going to be very entertaining.
Okay, Aman, you have one more pick. So let's reset the board of who is left. Okay, so we have remaining Plain Jane, Q, Tsunami Muse, Morphine, Love Dion, and Megami. Aman, where are you going to go for your last pick?
I'm stuck between a couple of them. My heart kind of wants to go for Megami, because I think out of any of the girls, she's the one that I related to the most. And being a gamer, she's into Japanese stuff. I speak a little bit of Japanese.
I didn't know that.
Oh,
he's a talented person.
And a piece of me
he wasn't before. Is that what did it for you? Like, oh, he's
that's
Japanese.
It. Now that I know he can speak a little Japanese,
all the other cool things Aman does. No.
I kind of want to go for Plain Jane, but I've been made privy about some stuff about Plain Jane, which I kind of didn't follow through with the storyline, so I don't really know where we're at with that. I'm assuming that I can't make any assumptions about what they're going to do with her, but like, it doesn't seem like we're getting the same swift response that we got with the other queen from season 12.
I think let's just like really quickly discuss this. So allegations came out that Plain Jane sexually assaulted fans and potentially other queens during a performance where she reached down into the pants of somebody who was an audience member on stage. And what has made this difficult is it's a lot of secondhand people speaking for the people involved in it. And it now seems like everybody has gone quiet. So it's one of those situations where the victim or victims themselves have not come forward and spoken. It's been people who are friends of them, including a Dragula queen who's on this current season of Dragula has come out against Plain Jane. There have also been queens that have come out in support of Plain Jane to say she acknowledged that was not okay and like spoke with the person afterwards and talked about it and they don't want to come public about this. So it's one of those situations where it seems it's not as like clear cut. It's not like with the Sherry Pies of it all, where people have come forward and said,
like,
here's all the proof of
like,
all this stuff, and it's me telling my story as a victim. It seems to me, and I could be completely missing aspects of this as well. It seems
it's still sort of unfolding as day by day. Like,
and it also doesn't seem like we haven't heard from Plain Jane herself, and we also haven't heard from the victims themselves or if they even see themselves as victims. So I don't really know. I am, my personal opinion is always, if a victim comes forward, I believe a victim.
Right.
And I think that this is all a really good conversation about boundaries that should not be crossed during any kind of performance, whether you are someone who is touching a queen or a queen touching an audience member, regardless. But at this point, it seems like it's kind of settled, and the people who were really loud about it are no longer talking about it. So I don't really know where it stands at this point.
Interesting. Yeah, I was not aware of that situation or anything that had happened. So, thank you both for bringing that up. And I guess we'll see what ends up happening in the future. But for now, Aman, we're going to go back to your pick.
And now back to our regularly scheduled program.
Yeah.
Okay, I will go with my heart, and I will go with Megami.
Okay.
I love the fact that she is coming from like a cosplay background. I have been encouraged by a few of my friends over the past couple of years to get into cosplay, and admittedly, like, it always seemed, I consider myself a nerd, right? But sometimes I get like a little bit of hoity-toity, and I'm like, well, I don't go that far. But now I'm like,
I'm not that nerdy.
But now I'm like, I bought tickets to a anime/video game cosplay convention next month. So here we are. You know what I mean? Like, never say never. So I'm like, I'm going to, maybe this is like a sign that I need to look after Megami and look up to her in this season to see, all the kinds of like benefits that truly embracing all of the aspects of your nerdy personality can bring you. So I do love that. I love that she's into Japanese. I love that she's named herself Queen. She is correct. That is Megami means queen in Japanese. And so I think it's going to be really, really fun. I think it's going to be interesting to see how her looks are critiqued by one Michelle Visage, because we know that she is quick to call out somebody for being a little bit costumey. But Megami also seems to be aware of that, having watched all the seasons enough to know, like, well, okay, she specifically talked about transitioning from cosplay into drag. So I think she understands, maybe you don't put the cape on for this particular outfit. Maybe maybe you don't have the long glove for this particular outfit. Maybe you need to accentuate something a little bit more. Maybe you need a little bit more. You need to focus a little bit more on the face a little bit. So I think that she's going to have enough of an artistic mind and pull from enough references and all the anime and stuff that she watches, all the games that she plays. I think that she has enough of like visually appealing things in her brain already to bring a lot of interesting looks to the competition. So I'm excited for her. And she's another one that I sort of got the vibe that she's just here to have a good time. I don't really get like any like sort of like act with her. It just feels very natural, real, fun, and just here to show what she can do. So I'm rooting for her.
I love any nerd that says loudly that they're a nerd. I love that.
Yes.
Because first of all, I will say, I think us millennials, we are bringing that it's okay to be a nerd in your 30s and early 40s or whatever.
Oh, yes, we are, baby.
And I love that. I love that. I look around and like, I'm on like, Hinge and Tinder and such. And I'll tell you what, the people who are most appealing to me, and this is me a preference or whatever, are the people who are like, I unabashedly love this one thing, whether it's, sometimes for guys, it might be like sports or something, but I love when people are like, together we can, that's the prompt. They'll be like, go to an anime convention. I'm like, yeah, you better work. Like, you're putting that out in your dating profile. You better work with that. Like, that's great. I love that kind of aesthetic. I completely agree with you. I think what's interesting about Megami is that she's going to have that, like, you could look at this outfit right here and this promo look and go, okay, the bodysuit comes across as cosplay, right? But the boots are drag. The jacket is drag. The nails are drag. The makeup is drag. Like there's aspects there that you can absolutely combine these different, elements and worlds. It's all transformation art. And I think there's no better person to look to than our friend of RHAP, Jeremy Carey, who used to do drag and now really considers themselves like more of a cosplay transformation artist. And even on All Stars 2, you saw like that future of drag look. That was because Jeremy has a cosplay background. So there's absolutely a great way to do this. And as a complete side note, Megami's face and voice reminds me of Heklina, may she rest in peace. And I don't know why that just like made me like want to root for her even more, even though it has nothing to do with like her aesthetic and her character or her as a person. It was just like all of a sudden I was like, oh, Heklina. I just wanted to say that.
Well, I even seeing her cosplay looks too, though, they're so good. Like if Michelle Visage really them costumey, I'm gonna be so upset because to me they're not costumes. Like they're these wonderful creations that she's made, and I think that that's so cool. Oh man, I really am rooting for her. I'm just so nervous because her energy just wasn't necessarily as big or as loud as some of the other girls there. Not that that is not necessarily correlated with success, but is not a hindrance necessarily. So it's just noticing the trend of like the louder, bigger I'm pushing to sort of get my way, especially when it comes to like the acting challenges and things like that. Right. She did say she was nervous about lip syncing, which makes me nervous for her for lip syncing. If she does unfortunately end up in the bottom, that might be a one and done type situation where she doesn't feel confident enough to save herself. But I'm hoping that her looks will also help to propel her through the competition.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, we're back to my last pick. And I will tell you, yes, I was listening to Iman. Okay, I promise. But I was spending so much time trying to figure out who I was going to pick left because I'm really struggling to pick from the queens remaining. I can look at them and I can say, okay, there's something that I love about every single one of them. And it makes it really hard for me to pick just one. But I am going to pick just one because we have to. That's the name of the game. And the person that I'm going to pick, as I'm still debating in this exact moment. Oh my God. Okay. All right. I'm going to pick a letter. I'm going to pick Q.
Oh,
okay.
I think Q is a great pick.
This is a last minute flip flop. And I think it was something, her energy in the interview that really came across me of like, okay, this is an interesting weirdo person. I like this person. I like the fact that Q makes everything that she wears on stage. She describes herself as an artist, a diva, and beyond. What does that even mean? I don't know, but she's a letter of the alphabet, the unforgotten letter Q. But when you have Q, you're always with you. And I am with you, Q. If that makes any kind of sense.
I strangely followed that. Okay. So yes, I do think
garbled nonsense. Yeah.
I think this is a great pick. I get, there have been a lot of Midwest queens that have a bite to them, that have an aesthetic about them, and also are really, really good costume designers and sewers and the whole 9 yards, right? And I think that she's going to add to that list, whether it's someone like Diabetti or Crystal Method and those kind of people. I think that she's going to follow very much like that, even though they're from different cities. But I really got a lot of really good vibes from her and her interview. I definitely see her going far in the competition, and I'm excited to see if she's somebody who also isn't afraid to speak her mind, because I definitely got that vibe from her as well, which I love.
Yeah, definitely. Aman, do you have any thoughts on the letter Q?
I thought that when she came into the workroom, it was like I'm here, I'm queer, and I'm ready to spear. Well, not spear, but you know what I mean.
Spearfish.
No, she seems, look, she was like, look, Kansas City, we don't really got a lot going on. Right. So you really have to be very, 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 very competitive. And fight tooth and nail to get your spot. So I think any queen that comes from a place where drag is not, really done, I think they're coming in with something to prove.
Mhm.
And because, you see all these New York queens, you see the LA queens, and now you see the Chicago queens. We saw a bunch of Connecticut all of a sudden. So I guess Connecticut coming.
And yet, none this year.
And
Yeah,
none
I
of them
forgot
this
about
year.
that.
All
They
the
said, "We're
Connecticut
done."
queens that
That's
there
it.
were just on last
That was
season.
all of them. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that she's definitely got an axe to grind. So I'm excited for that at least.
Okay. We have Beth to make her final pick, and then we'll talk about our 2 undrafted queens. Beth, where are you going to go?
This truly is a heart, mind, gut situation. So I'll just lay it out because there's no
Yeah,
what
yeah,
the
yeah.
audience
No
is going to
speaking
steal
after
from
you.
me.
Yeah.
So my head says plain Jane.
Okay.
My heart says morphine. My
Okay.
gut says tsunami.
Okay.
Okay. Because I'm like, okay, we just saw Candy Muse on All Stars 8, and we know RuPaul loves candy.
Mhm.
Is tsunami like candy, right? My gut tells me go for the queen that is likely going to have a personality very similar to somebody that RuPaul really loves, right? But we've also seen where the daughter or sister or whomever doesn't go as well. I don't know. So you've got that. You've got plain Jane. For me, that's a head thing where I sit back and I go, okay, this is somebody who is so actively like the other Boston queens who have been on the show. Like, I really got a good sense of like she can read a queen, like just like Jujubee could. Maybe not like Jujubee. I think Jujubee is unmatched, but also isn't afraid to be like, haha, I'm actually Katya. Like, Katya is Katya, but like, I'm actually Katya. And that's some bold claims to put out there. So you better be able to back it up. But the way that she's so precise with her look, I think she could back it up.
Mm.
My heart says morphine because I just loved the dynamic kind of vibe that she was able to bring out. And, she has this really lively personality and look to her. I love that she's is it her family that was from Nicaragua as well? And it's just I love that you had this
Latin representation.
You had this beautiful Latin confidence and passion that I'm just like, that is so magnetic. And so with all of that said, I'm going to go for morphine. I have to go for where my heart is. My heart says morphine.
I think I would have chosen her too.
Yeah.
I really, really liked her interview. She was somebody that look at that face. I'm sorry. That is see you next Tuesday face right there. Like, she is serving it. She looks so good. And I want to throw her money right now. Like, I can tell she has like this passion and this like, you can't tell me anything. I know that I'm gorgeous about her, but that also is what makes me nervous for her. Is she somebody who's going to be able to take judges' feedback and move forward with it and improve? That is the one thing that I worry about with her. Other than that, I think that she's got the personality, the looks. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
I love that she's an Adore Delano fan. I'm currently in a war right now with one of my best friends who loves Drag Race like I do, but he hates Adore Delano. And I'm like, I have never in my life heard anybody say that they hate Adore Delano. And so,
has he seen season 6 or only All Stars 2?
He has seen both, and he's just like, I just can't stand her. I'm like, what is wrong? Something is wrong with you. I'm sorry. Like, I'm not saying that everyone has to be a fan, but to say that you hate, I'm like, there's something wrong.
He should go to the doctor just to make sure that everything's okay.
He really should.
Yeah, specifically for a brain tumor.
Yes.
So yeah, I that got some points with me. She was another one of these queens that was like, like this season is gonna be good. It's gonna be good. Like, I'm telling you, and I like the fact that she was like, I have not seen some drag like this in my entire life. So she's speaking highly of her sisters. So I think that she understands like the caliber that needs to be brought for the show, and so I'm excited. I think she'll be
also
good.
This promo look with all the medals.
Yeah,
she's like, I'm
so
decorating
good.
myself.
So she was one of the other, obviously, people I was deciding between. And I think what I love is that she said she's a makeup artist, a dancer, a hairstylist. I love all of that from her. She said what she was nervous about is the acting and comedy challenges. And I know that can play a big role on the show. We can have a lot of those. So that was sort of my main hesitation for her. But even all you got to do is squeak by, right? Like, you don't have to be the best at everything. You just need to be able to make it past the acting and comedy challenges. And I do think that she's someone who can rely on that natural charisma to sort of get her past the line learning and all of those types of things that she might be nervous about. So I'm also very excited for her. I think that she's just gorgeous and stunning, and I'm excited to see the rest of her looks, and hopefully she'll be on the show for a while. Okay, so we've got two more queens to talk about. Beth, you already sort of gave us your head, heart, gut reasoning on all of them. So, Aman, give me your thoughts on, let's talk about Mami Muse.
Mami, I can't really remember much about her interview, which is crazy to me because I feel she's one of the first ones that we see walk into the workroom. And, the muse is definitely coming from candy. And like Beth said, like, we know that RuPaul loves candy. And so maybe there is like a little bit of a through line there. I'm not really getting a lot of candy from Mami, though, interestingly enough, which isn't a bad thing. Not all drag children have to really resemble their moms or even, act like their moms. But I'm not entirely sure if I'm getting like a clear cut vision of what she brings to this competition. Other than a cool spelling of the word tsunami. And that's not shade. I literally enjoy the way that she spells tsunami.
For me, she was, I loved the 90s supermodel aesthetic. Like, that was something that she talked about. Fashion's really big for her. She was super inspired by Naomi Campbell. That was like the vibe that she was going for. And that was then kind of about, like, I was like, okay, and then what? And then what? Like, I was waiting for the something else. And I think especially being a muse, candy is, oh my God, like, so intense. And I just felt like that was not something that is necessarily the first thing that you think of when you think of Mami Muse, like, not necessarily that like candy aesthetic, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But I think it felt more surface level what we got from her, at least from the intro package. Not that there isn't more there, not that we can't find out more about her, but I really got fashion queen, fashion diva. Like, okay, great. I know that. Good. And then, right. So that's what I just kept going back to. And that was what sort of held me back a little bit when it came to picking her for my team.
Yeah.
But she's also a Pokemon fan, Beth. So,
I know.
Pokemon master. She did say that.
I will say this. Her promo look was very much Unova region Gen 5 black and white as a gym leader. She very much could have been the gym leader for, like, I don't know, a ground type Pokemon. She's giving me clay.
Perfect. Love that. All right, let's finish things off by talking about Plain Jane. I don't know what to make of her. I really don't. I think I was more just like confused by her than anything else, and so that's kind of what held me back. But that could be actually super advantageous for her because the fact that okay, and it was her interview really that did it for me. Like, so we get the fact, okay, she her parents are from Russia, she speaks Russian, and then she's like, yeah, I've always been into airplanes. They're majestic. I'm like,
yeah,
okay.
It was kind of all over the place.
Okay.
Like,
and then she's like,
authentic Russian diva, but I also love planes, but also love
I smell like a sex doll. Like, the fact that she was just like so open about, like, yeah, my mother is like begging me to stop doing drag, but I'm never gonna stop doing drag. I'm like, okay, we're getting into like some deep stuff right now. I don't know if I'm like emotionally ready for this. Plays sports, enjoys cartoon porn. Like, there were just so many little things that came across our interview. I was like, okay, I don't know who you are, but I really want to get to know you, and maybe there'll be something cohesive that ties us all together, and maybe not. And both are totally okay. I think it was especially coming from the name Plain Jane to then have her be almost exactly the opposite in terms of personality. But I will say her aesthetic is so clean and so gorgeous that I'm really obsessed with that as well. I have no idea how she's going to do, but I'm along for the ride.
She's like either going to be one of the first two or she goes all the way. Like, I don't see her being in the middle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
She seems like she's going to be a pretty big character on this show. I mean, coming for Katya, and even yes, it was a joke. I don't think she actually means any ill will towards Katya, but I think she's definitely one of these people that knows like what to say on camera to get a rise out of people. So
Yeah.
similarly to Mirage, I think that there's definitely a little bit of propensity for drama and good untucked. With this one, she does seem very well put together. She seems like she has a general aesthetic of how she likes to look and present herself. It's packaged well. It's neat. So I think that the judges will respond well to that. I think she's definitely towards the top just based off of what I've seen. But in light of the recent controversy, I don't know if that'll affect things. My guess is probably not, because like I said, in comparison with what we've seen in the past, I don't think it's headed down that route. But I do hope that, if the things that she's accused of are true, that what's also true is that she understood that what she did was not great, and that she has apologized and spoken to all necessary parties and is able to move past that, and they're able to move past it. But I guess we'll see. Only time can tell.
Yeah, I mean, what it sounds like is that it's been handled. The parties involved have handled it and have moved on.
Maybe. And that's the thing. We don't know. And for me, the reason why I didn't end up choosing her had really nothing to do with that. I'm with you guys in the sense of like, I couldn't get a good sense. It felt like it was either strategic. Let me say a whole bunch of things about myself without actually revealing a lot so that I exceed your expectations on the show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or she really is just kind of all over the place, which it came across like she was trying really hard to be like, I know there are going to be Katya comparisons.
She's trying to get in front of it.
Yes. And so I think that, she's joking around about the appropriation of everything, like, of the culture, but she's also like, Katya's from Boston. They probably work, with the same people, not at the same time because she's so much younger, but like she probably knows that scene, and she's probably heard over and over and over, you're like Katya, you're like Katya, you're like Katya, you're like Katya.
Yeah.
So now when she's going to get on the show where Katya became one of the most popular queens of all time, she's got to nip that in the bud in the beginning. So I definitely see her being someone who could be really strong. And if she is like Katya and she can lean into that, but also still give her own sense of who she is, she could be huge.
Hey, she could be.
So I'm really excited to see what she brings. With all of that said, I think that all of us are on the same page that, if it comes out that the victims start speaking out and are demanding certain things, and her response is either still not there or not okay, or if I think we just have to see what happens with that. But
okay, that does it. We have our final draft teams. We are done. So we have Tsunami and Plain Jane not left over. That seems so rude, but
they go to the audience.
They go to the audience. What a gift. You're welcome. And then let's see. Let me pull together the rest of the draft teams. Aman, who was your last pick again?
Mine was Megami.
Megami, yes. Okay, so these are the teams. Let me recap. Aman, you have a mandatory meeting.
I do. I don't want to go though.
Oh no. I know. I have to go to tour tomorrow. A mandatory meeting. Hershii, Mirage, and Megami. Beth, you have Nymphia, Plasma, Mhi'ya, Morphine. I have Sapphira, Dawn, Geneva Karr, and Q. So that does it for our draft. Is there any other thoughts that either of you would like to speak before we close things out and get ready for the first episode?
I'm just happy that there's no Sasha Colby this season. Not that I don't like Sasha Colby, but there's no inherent front runner for me, at least. There's some people that are like, you think are probably going to do well, but I have no way of knowing that this time. So I'm very excited. I think it's going to be really fun. And if the queens, obviously the production is not going to allow the queens to say, I don't know if y'all gonna like this season. This season might be shitty. Obviously they're not allowed to say that, but with the way that some of these queens, I feel like I can read between the lines of what they're saying, and what they're trying to say is that there's drama. So I'm excited.
Yeah, for sure. I I think that we are in for an incredible year of drag. In addition to season 16, obviously we're going to get All Stars 9 at some point, but we're also going to get UK versus the World 2, I think Canada versus the World 2, and Global All Stars. And that's on top of all the other franchises that are really giving. So I have not been watching Canada, but I know that Canada has been like incredible this season. I know that there's supposed to be a big twist for this season. I don't know what that twist is because I didn't even watch the entrances when they came in for the Meet the Queens. I skipped right to the interviews because I didn't want to be spoiled on the entrances. So I really know, like, people when I was streaming were coming in and be like, what do you think the twist? I'm like, I don't know. I don't even want to discuss it because I want to see it. So I'm excited to see what we get, what shakes up this season.
And we will be along every week, every step for every twist and turn that the season has. We're going to be recording, of course, weekly podcasts, typically the weekend after the episode on Fridays. And then that should be in your feed by Monday, hopefully at the latest. So that does it for us. Hopefully we gave you a short preview of the queens that we all are going to be watching this Friday for the premiere of season 16. Beth, what do you want to promote? Plugs, all that fun stuff.
You can catch me on all my social media at AugustaWind11. You can also, I've been streaming a little bit of Pokemon. I've never played Gen 5 Univers region, so that's why I brought it up. But I'm playing Pokemon White for the first time, but I decided to do it as a randomized Nuzlocke, of which if I fail so many times, then I lose. But if I defeat it in the amount of times, then Brian Scally has to do a Soul Link Nuzlocke with me on stream. So come and support and make sure I don't fail so that we can rope Brian Scally into doing something he's maybe not so excited about.
Good. Let's bully him.
Yes.
All right. Aman, what about you?
Yeah, I'm just here for Drag Race. Yeah, that's kind of just it. I'm taking it easy into the new year, and yeah, just chilling.
Yes, I am as well. I'm also just here for Drag Race. Aman and I talked about our cathartic mornings of coming into the new year fresh and bright. So we are here to be breaking everything down, living our best lives. Yes. Okay. Fantastic. So few quick things before we leave your star ratings and reviews for us on iTunes. Rob has a website.com/drag race. That's very helpful, especially for the beginning of the season. We can get a lot of promo out there. So if you leave a review, thank you so much for doing so. Rob has a website.com/drag race. Thank you to the whole RHAP team for all your help behind the scenes. And we'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.